The night I overheard the joke, I felt something inside me freeze, as if my heart had been pressed between two cold palms. We were at a barbecue his friends hosted, laughter rising like sparks from the fire pit. Someone nudged him and said, "Good thing you've got a backup fiancée if she ever messes up." The group erupted in laughter, unaware of the crack it caused inside me. I waited for him to shut it down, to say anything in my defense. But he only chuckled, and that silence hurt more than any insult. I smiled politely, pretending I didn't hear, though the words echoed like iron striking stone. I reminded myself he loved me, that he proposed because he chose me, not because I filled a slot. Still, a seed of doubt rooted itself deeper than I wanted to admit. I replayed their voices over and over, trying to understand how this became a joke at all. How could someone joke about my entire place in his life? The thought followed me home like a shadow I couldn't shake off. Later that night, while he slept peacefully beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. The joke gnawed at me, pulling memories forward, moments he hesitated too long, times he forgot something important. Were those signs I ignored? Would he truly move on effortlessly if I ever slipped? A part of me hated myself for even entertaining the idea, but another part whispered that something about this relationship had always felt slightly unbalanced, and I was tired of dismissing my instincts. The next morning, he noticed my distance and asked if I was upset about something. I wanted to spill everything right there, but my throat tightened around the words. Instead, I said I was tired, and he nodded, accepting it too easily. His lack of curiosity stung, fueling the quiet storm building inside me. Why didn't he push for the truth? Why was it so easy for him to shrug it off? I felt myself drifting further away, even though he was inches from me. A week later, his friends invited us out again, and I found myself tense the entire evening. Every joke, every playful insult, felt sharper than usual, as though I expected to be targeted again. And then it happened, another offhand comment from the same friend. "You sure she's still the main fiancée?" He laughed. The words sliced through whatever patience I had left. This time, I didn't stay silent. I excused myself and walked outside, letting the cool air rush over my heated skin. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the overwhelming urge to cry. I didn't want to break down in front of them, not again. But I also couldn't pretend this was harmless. The joke wasn't funny. It never was. And my hurt was real, even if they refused to see it. A few minutes later, he stepped outside, concern softening his features. "Why'd you leave like that?" he asked gently. The dam broke, and every emotion spilled out: anger, sadness, confusion. I told him everything, from the first joke to the nights I couldn't sleep. His face shifted from surprise to guilt, and for once, he didn't interrupt. He let me speak, really speak. When I finished, he exhaled slowly and stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I didn't realize it hurt you that much," he admitted. "I thought you knew they were just being stupid." His explanation felt small, but his remorse felt genuine. Still, I wasn't satisfied with a simple apology. I needed change, not just regret. I told him I needed boundaries, respect, and protection, not silence disguised as neutrality. He listened carefully, nodding as the weight of my words settled over him. "I'll talk to them," he said, the determination in his eyes steady and firm. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. Not because he promised solutions, but because he finally understood the depth of the wound. He held my hands as if anchoring me, and I let myself believe in the moment. True to his word, he confronted his friends the next time we saw them. His voice was calm but unwavering as he told them the jokes were disrespectful. They looked stunned, clearly not expecting him to take a stand. One apologized immediately, another awkwardly scratched his neck. The main instigator muttered that he didn't mean anything by it, but still apologized. And I felt something uncoil inside me, something that had been tense for too long. Their apology didn't erase the damage, but it was a start, a small patch over a deep bruise. I stood beside my fiancé, watching the dynamic shift in real time. For once, I didn't feel invisible or dismissed. I felt like someone worth defending, worth loving fiercely. He squeezed my hand gently after, as if to tell me he wasn't going anywhere, and I allowed myself to believe him again. That night, as we drove home, the silence between us felt soft, not sharp. He kept glancing at me, his expression filled with quiet determination. "Thank you for telling me the truth," he said. "I never want you to feel second to anyone, ever." His sincerity reached a part of me I thought had closed off, and I realized healing wasn't impossible, it just needed effort from both sides. Over the next few weeks, he changed in ways that surprised me. He asked more questions, paid closer attention, and communicated better than before. It wasn't dramatic or showy, it was consistent. The kind of consistency that builds trust brick by brick. Slowly, the fear of being replaceable faded. In its place grew something warmer, steadier. For the first time, we talked openly about what marriage meant to us. Not just the romantic highlights, but the raw, unfiltered reality of partnership. The moments that require courage, honesty, and accountability. We confessed our insecurities, our expectations, our flaws. These conversations became the quiet foundation we desperately needed, and they brought us closer than we had ever been. One evening, as we sat together on the living room floor, he looked at me thoughtfully. "You know," he said, "I always thought love meant never messing up. Now I think it means fixing things when you do." His words settled over me like a warm blanket. I realized I had my own walls to tear down, my own fears to confront. We were growing together, painfully at times, but growing nonetheless, and that mattered more than a perfect beginning. Months passed, and the wedding day approached with a sense of calm I didn't expect. Our communication felt stronger, our bond sturdier. His friends treated me differently now, respectfully, cautiously even. And he no longer laughed at jokes made at my expense. He stood beside me, not just physically but emotionally, unwavering. I no longer questioned my place in his life. On the morning of our wedding, I looked at myself in the mirror and smiled. Not because I looked perfect, but because I felt secure. The woman staring back at me wasn't afraid anymore. She had learned her voice mattered. Her feelings mattered, her presence mattered, and she had chosen a man who learned to cherish all of that. Love, I realized, wasn't about never doubting, it was about overcoming the doubt together. When I walked down the aisle, his eyes filled with something deeper than affection. It was recognition, respect, and a promise renewed without words. As I reached him, he whispered, "You're my only fiancé. My only choice. Always." The last of the lingering hurt finally dissolved. In that moment, not because he said the right thing, but because he had proven it through actions. And I knew we were stepping into something real. As we exchanged vows, I felt the weight of everything we had overcome. We had survived misunderstandings, insecurity, and misplaced jokes. We grew from immaturity into something closer to partnership, and that journey made this moment all the more meaningful. I held his hands, steady and warm, grounding me, and I believed every word we spoke. After the ceremony, as we slow danced under the soft lights, I rested my head on his shoulder. I thought about the girl who once cried alone at night, fearing she was easily replaceable. She felt like a stranger now, a shadow from a different lifetime. In her place stood a woman who understood her worth, a woman who demanded respect and received it, a woman who knew love wasn't passive, it was intentional. That night, before we fell asleep as husband and wife, he pulled me close. "Thank you for giving us another chance," he whispered. I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from his face. "It wasn't another chance," I said softly. "It was a choice we made together." He kissed my forehead, and the world felt quiet, safe, and whole again. And I knew our story was only just beginning. In the end, the joke that once shattered me became the catalyst that rebuilt us. It forced honesty, confrontation, and growth, things we had been avoiding. It pushed us into deeper waters, where real love either sinks or strengthens. And ours strengthened, imperfectly but beautifully. We learned that love isn't measured by the absence of mistakes. It's measured by the courage to build something stronger after them. The message I carry now is simple but powerful. Value doesn't come from someone's reassurance. It comes from your own belief in your worth. And relationships thrive not when you're flawless, but when you're willing to fight for each other. What once made me feel small eventually made us unbreakable. Pain taught us truth, and truth taught us love. And love, real love, became the home we chose together.